Welcome to the Sarpy County Board of Equalization meeting. Today is November 7, 2023 at 3 o'clock p.m. We have present today Commissioners Kelly, Klug, Warren, Mixon, and Burmeister, along with our County Administrator Dan Hoynes and our Deputy County Clerk Renee Landsman. We also have present somewhere Dan Pittman probably, and probably somewhere is Jeff Meixel. If you'll please silence your cell phones, there's a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act located on the north wall of the county boardroom, and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4 is the consent equalization agenda. Would anyone like to see any items removed from the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Item 5.1 is tax correction 17300, Dan Pittman, assessor. If anyone has any questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Warren. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Equalization is adjourned and will reset for the Board of Commissioners.
Good to go.
You good, Renee?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Sarpy County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is still November 7th, 2023. It's 3:02 p.m. We have present today Commissioners Kelly, Klug, Warren, Mixon, and Burmeister, along with our County Administrator Dan Hoynes and our Deputy County Clerk Renee Landsman. We're going to start with our Veterans Day proclamations. So I'll ask the commissioners to come down around the front so that we can recognize our veterans. It took extraordinary men and women who made extraordinary sacrifices to make our American way of life possible. We can never take those freedoms for granted. We have strong tradition of military service here in Sarpy County, and our board and our residents are deeply grateful to our veterans. Today, this week, and especially on Veterans Day, we're taking the time to reflect and show our appreciation for the men and women across our country and community who answered the call. From dusk until dawn, our administration and 1102 buildings will be lit green as part of Operation Greenlight for veterans. By shining a green light, we hope to let veterans know that they are seen, appreciated, and supported. And in a few minutes, I'll read a proclamation recognizing our veterans. Each commissioner will then honor a veteran from their district who's made a meaningful difference in the lives of all Americans by serving the greater good. The veterans that we're going to recognize today are Mark Baritsky, Mike Simmons, Ron Elwell Jr., James Arbuckle, who's represented today by his wife Pam, and Bill Cook. Their stories are powerful. Their actions are lessons in courage, sacrifice, and selflessness. We can honor their service and follow their example by looking for moments to put others ahead of ourselves. Please look for those opportunities, especially this week, and join me now in thanking our veterans and those who are here to be honored today. I'll now read the proclamation into the record. Whereas every year in November, our nation reflects on the noble service and dedication of the men and women who have so bravely served our country. And whereas Sarpy County is immeasurably grateful for these American heroes who defended the freedoms and values we hold most dear while risking their personal safety. And whereas approximately 20,000 Sarpy residents are military veterans. And whereas these veterans are our family, friends, and neighbors who answered our country's call. forging a proud and unselfish tradition. And whereas we should remain committed to supporting those veterans who have returned home and do everything in our power to help them heal their wounds and resume their lives in peace. Therefore, the Sarpy County Board of Commissioners wishes to recognize Sarpy County veterans who served and fought in conflicts on the seas, in the air, and on foreign soil. And furthermore, with designation as a green light for Veterans County, the Sarpy County Board of Commissioners hereby declares this week through Veterans Day, November 11th, 2023, a time to salute and honor the service of our men and women in uniform, transitioning from active service. And furthermore, as we prepare to celebrate Veterans Day, we urge all residents to recognize the sacrifices of those who served in the U.S. Armed Forces, express their gratitude, and rededicate themselves to the values of our hard-fought freedom. We're going to start with Commissioner Kelly, who represents District 1 and who will recognize Mark Boritsky. We're going to have our veterans stand in the area where they're sitting while our commissioners read into the record a bio about their service. And then at the end, we'll have everybody come up and we'll take a picture together. Commissioner Kelly.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. You know, Commissioner Burmeister likes to think I'm going first because I'm in District 1, but the reason I'm going first is because I asked her if I could go first. And today it's just a pleasure for me to look. I've known Mark 20 years, and so I'm at a little bit of an advantage because I can talk personally about him without even reading a bio. But he's a great American. I can just tell you that. And after I tell you a little bit about him, I think you're going to agree with me that that is a statement of fact. Mark, who I've never called him that in 21 years, he's affectionately known as Ski, or Ski Daddy to me, mostly. I usually call him Ski Daddy. Ski grew up in Pennsylvania. And right out of high school, he enlisted in the United States Air Force. He served for 22 years, honorably, and most of the time in his specialty and love as a security forces member. His son, by the way, is a current security forces member, and he's here today. And his name is Lee. Lee, raise your hand. And let's give him a round of applause. And thank you. Well, Ski Daddy, he after he got out of security forces training, he went to one of the most prestigious garden spots in the United States Air Force, Minot, North Dakota. And he probably stood watch out there on that ramp in front of those B-52s. In some of the most unbearable temperatures you can even imagine. There are no trees. If you've ever been to North Dakota, there are no trees around Minot, very few. And when that wind blows, it blows cold. But he did a great job up there. He did such a great job that he was quickly elevated to the SWAT team and sent to specialized training down in Texas. Turns out Ski, he's a pretty good aim with that gun of his. He could shoot. And so he went down there and he got training, became a sniper. And then because he was so good, he was a by name request. Only 12 security force members selected to be trained on, at that time, what was a new weapon system called the Stinger missile. He went over to Korea in the Pacific and served. He worked over there. He also went to Clark Air Base in the Philippines, spent some time there, quality time there with U.S. Marines during the exercise Cope Thunder, and his performance drew rave reviews from the senior leaders in charge of our military at that time. His next and final assignment, believe it or not, was right here at Offutt Air Force Base. He transitioned to be a crew member on the E-4B. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's that beautiful white 747 that looks like Air Force One. And he kind of led security details for that plane. And you say, well, why would you put a security guy on an airplane? Well, because that plane has a very important mission, first of all, and needs to be protected. But more importantly, that plane flies around some of our most important people in the country, secretaries of defense, secretaries of state, and sometimes even higher. And Ski went on multiple missions all around the globe with these high-ranking officials, making sure that they were safe and protected. For his service, he received a lot of recognition and, of course, medals. He has two meritorious service medals, 8 area achievement medals, and multiple other medals and citations. Too many to really name. And when he retired in 2003, in 2003, that's when our paths crossed. Because he came to work as a protocol officer for the 55th Wing. And if you don't know what that means they're the people that set up all the visits, all the trips, for everything the commanders do out at the base. And, often it's a pretty important base. So we get a lot of high-profile visitors. And he's seen them all. From 4-star generals all the way up to the President of the United States. And he supports those visits. And he takes care of the commander. And he also took care of the commander's staff. And that's where we met. I was in the operations group. And if I ever needed anything, he was there to answer the call. He's been doing that since 2003, but he was so good at it that he became the chief of protocol after serving initially as a deputy for a few years. So a very, very important position. His expertise in that job reaches across many levels, including the United States Secret Service, the Nebraska Air National Guard, the local Chamber of Commerce, high school and college ROTC groups. He has received the Department of the Air Force medals for the Meritorious Civilian Service, Exemplary Civilian Service, and Civilian Achievement. Mark's married to Audrey, and they have 3 grown children. Mark, Jr., and Lee, who you met today, are in the military, I believe, both of them, right? Following in Ski's footsteps. And then he has another son that lives here locally, I believe. So, there's all kinds of service, right? There's military service, for sure. But his service as a civilian, supporting our military over the last 20 years, has just been exemplary. So all told, he's poured in over 4 decades of support to our country. And I can't think of a better candidate that deserves this recognition for the role he's played these past 40 years. Thank you, Ski.
Next, we'll have Commissioner Klug, who represents District 2, who will recognize Mike Simmons.
Thanks, Angie. Good afternoon, everybody. I have the distinguished pleasure of recognizing Mike Simmons. Goes by Mikey, as I'm told. I'm going to start off, though, quick. I saw this. What is a veteran? A veteran, whether active duty, reserve, discharged, or retired, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its citizens for the amount of up to and including his or her life. It is an honor and a privilege to live amongst such selfless and bravery, and an absolute privilege to recognize a few of those individuals today. Mike Simmons served in the United States Army from 2009 until 2013. Shortly into his military career, Mike was deployed to Barash, Iraq during Iraqi freedom from November 2009 until March 2010. While deployed in 2010, he was wounded from an IED blast, which caused many severe injuries. Mike was awarded the Purple Heart in January of 2011. While recovering from his injuries, he volunteered at the VA hospital in Omaha, helping other veterans, which shows his true character and commitment to service of others before self. Mike married his wife, Alyssa, in 2011. They have a daughter, Clara, and a son, Emmett. After separating from the Army in 2013, Mike and his family became Sarpy County residents. He earned an associate's degree in horticulture at Metropolitan Community College and has worked for the City of Papillion in the Parks Department for the last 10 years. Mike's love of service continues to this day, where he volunteers with veterans in our community throughout the Disabled American Veterans Program at Bellevue University and through the Veterans Resource Network Suicide Prevention Program. We're blessed to have you as a resident in Sarpy County and for your service for our country and your continued service to our local area in Papillion as well as to our veterans. Thank you so much for your service. We're blessed to recognize you today.
I'm Angie Burmeister. I represent District 3, and the veteran I'll be recognizing today is Ron Elwell Jr. Ron Elwell Jr. was born into an Air Force family. Ron's father, who did 5 tours in Vietnam as a forward air controller, was stationed at Offutt Air Force Base in 1984. Ron attended Bellevue and Papillion La Vista schools and graduated from Bellevue West, as did I and my husband, by the way. During his youth, Ron was active in Civil Air Patrol as well as AFJROTC. To understand his father's experiences, Ron read many books on the Vietnam War. Ron embarked on his military career in 1997 with the Nebraska National Guard. Ron went on to active duty service as a helicopter crew chief for UH-60s, UH-1s, AH-1s, OH-58s, and as a flight engineer of CH-47s. Additionally, he also served as an operations specialist at the task force level as well as the brigade and battalion levels, advising commands on helicopter operations and capabilities. 3 days before 9/11, Ron deployed to Bosnia in support of multinational support and stabilization operations. He went on to serve in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Inherent Resolve in Iraq, and the Southwest Border Operation Jumpstart in Arizona. Ron received several commendations, including 3 Air Medals for his actions in both Afghanistan and Iraq. He is also a recipient of the Army Commendation Medal and Army Achievement Medal. Ron retired in Oklahoma City in 2020 after 22 years of service and returned to Sarpy County. He lives in Bellevue with his girlfriend Angie. Great name, by the way. He has 3 children, Taylor, Morgan, and Brooke. And I know he is also working on the Vietnam Memorial Project, so we're so grateful for your service. Thank you so much for all your service to our country and our community.
I just want to share a few comments real quick. I do have recognized James Arbuckle, and he's not present today, but his wife Pam is. So before I speak regarding James, a few thoughts that I had and some of the comments that are already being made. We have one little sheet of paper, and it's really, these lives are stories, and we're only getting the Cliff Notes version. And so I just want to let everybody know there's so much more to what's on this paper and all of the lives that have been affected and changed by the people that have served and the people we're recognizing today. So I truly appreciate this. And it's always an honor. My father served and my oldest brother served. And I wish, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the young people today have as much knowledge. And I don't know if I want to use the word respect, but I think they need the knowledge of what goes into being a veteran and what their freedoms that they have today represent, because there are many prices paid for that freedom. James Arbuckle has a long history of service to our country and to our community. He entered the U.S. Air Force on December 30th, 1964. After graduating from Penn State University, we will not hold that against him. So. as a Air Force ROTC distinguished cadet and was commissioned as a second lieutenant. During the Vietnam War, Jim flew 14 extremely sensitive reconnaissance missions, logging more than 250 hours, in addition to flying 34 combat air refueling sorties from 1967 to 1969 while stationed in Southeast Asia. Always up for a challenge, he was responsible for the operational effectiveness of 3 F-16 squadrons in NATO's central region in the late 1980s. During the first few weeks of Operation Desert Shield, Jim successfully provided reconnaissance support with just 12 hours of notice to CENTCOM with RC-135 operations from Offutt Air Force Base. After serving his country for 28 years, Jim retired on December 31st, 1992. Since retiring, Jim has been an active member in the community for 30 years. He was a ski patroller with the National Ski Patrol, served on the board of Habitat for Humanity in Omaha, and was on the Dean's Development Council at Penn State. He also flew with pilots and paws to rescue unsheltered dogs and take them to non-kill shelters. Jim has been an active member in St. James United Methodist Church in Bellevue until his health deteriorated last year. He was recently presented with the Quilt of Valor at Maple Crest long-term care facility where he's been living for 18 months due to health conditions, which were presumably caused by Agent Orange exposure. Jim has been married to Pam since 1968 for 55 years. They have a daughter, Jennifer, son, Stephen, son-in-law, Tim, and 3 grandchildren, Reese, David, and Claire. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, James, for your service. Thank you.
Hi, Jim Warren, here to do the District 5, much like Don. I've known Bill my whole life, Bill Cook. And I also know Bill well enough, I took the Cliff Note version and shortened it down. And probably no one that would rather be anywhere else but here than Bill right now. Bill was born and raised in Gretna. Bill Cook was called and gave his service to the U.S. Army and completed basic training at beautiful Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Before finishing advanced infantry training, he served a full tour in Vietnam with the 23rd Infantry AmeriCal Division. He was awarded the Army Commendation Medal, the Air Medal, the Combat Infantry Badge, the Vietnam Combat Medal, and the Vietnam Service Medal, as well as the Bronze Star, for meritorious achievement in ground operations against hostile forces. After his tour, Bill returned to Gretna, where he has served in various positions that I'll talk about. One they didn't have, Mayor of Amelia. I think there's probably 3 of us here that probably understand that one. Anyway, Bill returned to Gretna in the years following the war. He served as Vice Commander, Adjunct of the Gretna American Legion Post 216. To this day, Bill volunteers for Honor Guards, Color Guards, Rifle Squads, and building maintenance at the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars of Gretna. Bill, thank you for your service.
I'd like to invite our veterans up so that we can get a picture and give them their proclamation and challenge coin. We'll have a picture with the board. And then if the veteran families would like to come up quickly after for a picture, we can get that, and then I think we'll be good. Thanks. I'd also like to show some appreciation for the dignitaries that showed up. I see that Mayor Black's here and Amber Powers, and we have several other people from the community that are here. if the families want to come up, you're welcome to come up and get a picture with your family member, but you can get a group picture. Your challenge point, what you're looking for. Okay, so here I go. And if you we were 86. Oh, yeah.
I know you're asking. I understand what that is. I was just a little kid. I mean, he was a great guy.
Okay, we will move on to commissioners and administrator comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Kelly.
No comments today. Thank you.
Just briefly say it's a pleasure to be able to recognize the veterans in our community. Before he leaves the room, I want to give Russ Ebe a quick shout out. He was kind of the original brainchild of this, and he's helped make it happen. So we appreciate it. It's an honor and a privilege to do this each year. Thank you, guys.
No comment.
I'd just like to say thank you for your service, Commissioner Kelly.
Oh, thanks.
We'll move on to the consent commissioner's agenda. Item number 5, anyone like to see any items removed from the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Didn't take for some reason.
Item 6.1 is Resolution 2023-354, Agreement Renewal with Catalyst Public Affairs, previously approved by Resolution 2020-378, to provide legislative and lobbying services for a 3-year term commencing December 1, 2023 to November 30, 2026. Dan Hoynes, Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board would respectfully request approval. I think that way before he was a lobbyist, Tim was proving his commitment to Sarpy County in many realms, not just political, but as a community member. But specific to this issue, I had the distinct pleasure the last year in particular to spend some very long nights with him over in Lincoln when we were seeking funding, and not just Tim, but I'm sure he'd be the first to tell you his staff, McCartney, Melissa, and Caitlin in particular, ones we work with, just really, they're a very great asset to Sarpy County. So I would respectfully request your approval of the contract.
Any questions for Dan? Or I see here, Tim is here. Did you want to address the board at all, Tim? The microphone is on the other side, by the way. Sorry about that.
Just grab it.
Yeah, I know we're just together Thursday for an hour and a half, so I won't go there. But I just wanted to come up and say thank you for the opportunity. For me personally, it means a lot being a Sarpy County resident for many years, and it's great to work on the issues, especially in a growing county. You guys have a lot of complex issues, and we're very proud to work on it. And then I also want to let you know, as Dan said, you're kind of all hands on deck on this account. Every one of us in the office works on it all the time and knows what your needs are, and we're very proud, again, to keep working for you the next few years.
Any questions for Tim?
Just a comment. I can't think of any other lobbyists in the state of Nebraska that has both county board and state senator experience. And I can't even tell you how valuable that is when he's down in Lincoln doing our bidding. I could also tell you there's 10 million reasons why we should renew this contract, and those 10 million are the $10 million he helped procure the Sarpy County and Sewers Wastewater Agency last year in a grant from the state of Nebraska. So I'm really excited to vote A on this and get him back to work.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Klug. Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Thank you so much, Tim. Item 6.2 is Resolution 2023-357, direction to county attorney and county administrator to draft an ordinance for the regulation of golf car use within the county. Andrea Gosnold Parker, Senior Deputy County Attorney.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The resolution before you on this agenda item is a request for direction to draft an ordinance to establish a law regarding golf car use within the county. Pursuant to the county board rules of procedure and in response to requests from the public as well as commissioners, and in light of similar ordinances being enacted in surrounding jurisdictions, this resolution has been put before you today. This vote on this item is not substantive. It is merely procedural. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
Questions for?
No, I just wanted to say thanks for your work on this. This has gone through, I printed an email today, not thinking, and it was like 20 sheets of paper. It's the revolutions of this thing as it's gone. I was approached by an SID in Western Sarpy, and I think we as the county have been approached by at least one other SID. This does not make the rules more lax on golf carts. It actually defines what the usage is. So to me, I think it's a good move. Just in way of comment, in my reading over one of the last ones, the only thing pointed out to me by someone else was in there, it reads about licensing or registration. I don't know that we want to get into that business. That would require a whole new level of bureaucracy, plus the follow-up and all that kind of thing. I think it's just if the requirements are set out so that they know what's required, and if they are stopped for some reason, the deputy knows what's required, or officer. So, thank you.
Yeah, I think it would also help our sheriff's department immensely to have some clear guidelines, because ultimately, at the end of the day, when there's things going on in SIDs that people complain about, there's no enforcement mechanism without an ordinance. So I'm hoping that will help make their jobs easier as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Klug, second by Commissioner Warren. Any discussion? Please vote.
I would just add, Madam Chair, that the timeline, I think, is public hearing the end of this month, the 28th. There'll be an introduction and a first reading and second reading, a public hearing the 28th, but final vote, Annie, is tentatively set for when?
The last meeting in December, which is,
13th, 12th.
I believe that's the correct date. I'll have to check. The next agenda item actually is requesting the board to fix a date for the public hearing, so that'll be on
thank
there.
Just one time I can get ahead of something.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Item 6.3 is Resolution 2023-358, discuss and fix date of public hearing for an ordinance to establish a law regarding golf car use within the county, to establish a penalty and provide a method of enforcement, and to provide for an effective date. Andrea Gosnold Parker, Senior Deputy County Attorney.
Thank you. This item has a draft ordinance attached to it. If there are any points of discussion that the commissioners would like to bring up. Additionally, there is a resolution requesting setting a date for the public hearing that is Right now, in order to allow for the required publication prior to that public hearing, that date would be November 28th. That public hearing would be considered the first reading. Ordinances require 3 readings unless otherwise waived by the board, but the public hearing is the first reading. Following that, at the next board meeting, there would be a second reading, which only requires that the ordinance is read by title. The week after that would be the third reading and the time at which the board is able to vote to determine if they would like to approve the ordinance.
Motion to approve 358.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Mixon. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Items 7.1 and 7.2 are executive sessions.
That's mine. I'm on, all right. For the protection of the public interest, I move that we go into executive session and to discuss legal matters.
Second.
Motion to go into executive session to discuss legal matters made by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Mixon. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Pieces.
4:18 p.m. At 3:36, we went into executive session where our discussion was restricted to legal matters. And I need a motion that we return to regular.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to return to regular session by Commissioner Mixon, second by Commissioner
I don't have anything to tell me. I can
Klug.
move.
Got it.
Any discussion?
Refresh.
Please vote.
Okay, she's got me.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Commissioners is adjourned.
All right.
Thanks, guys.